The forgotten outpost. The signal pulsed weakly against the cosmic background radiation, so faint that any standard detection system would have filtered it out as meaningless noise. But Lieutenant Ryota Nakamura wasn't operating standard equipment. His modified scanner array, built from salvaged consortium tech and his own ingenious improvements, picked up what others couldn't: patterns in the void. "Captain," he called, his voice breaking the quiet hum of the bridge. "I'm detecting a distress beacon. Frequency doesn't match any registered commercial or military channels." Captain Naomi Winters left her command chair, crossing the worn deck, plates of the independent vessel Defiance with purposeful strides. At 43, she carried herself with the confidence of someone who'd survived more than her share of the galaxy's dangers. The faded scars along her jawline and the cybernetic left eye testified to that fact. "Source?" she asked, leaning over Nakamura's station. "Coordinates place it in the Vespertine sector, specifically near the Khaldun binary system." He adjusted his scanner. "It's strange. The signal has embedded data packets that look like old consortium research protocols." Winters frowned. "Khaldun was declared a prohibited zone nearly 8 years ago. Environmental catastrophe, if I recall the official report." "The signal disagrees," Nakamura replied, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "I'm extracting a voice message and patching it through now." The bridge speakers crackled with static before a desperate voice emerged. "Anyone receiving? This is Research Station Epsilon. We need immediate evacuation. The containment protocols have failed. They're loose and—" The message dissolved into unintelligible noise before repeating. First Officer Dmitry Volkov, a towering man with a thick beard and eyes that had seen too much war, stepped beside the captain. "Consortium abandoned a research station with people still on board?" His Russian accent thickened with disgust. "Wouldn't be the first time they've written off lives for convenience," Winters replied. She straightened, making her decision. "Navigation. Plot a course to these coordinates. Ryota, send a response on the same frequency. Let them know help is coming." Volkov lowered his voice. "Captain, if the consortium declared that sector prohibited, then they can explain to my face why they left their people to die." She cut him off. "Besides, salvage rights on abandoned consortium tech would set us up for a year." The bridge crew exchanged glances, half worried, half excited. The Defiance and its crew of 23 were all human, all from Earth or its colonies. In the hierarchical structure of the Galactic Consortium, humans were relatively new arrivals, classified as Deathworlders, due to their evolution on a planet considered brutally dangerous by galactic standards. Earth's high gravity, extreme weather, diverse pathogens, and aggressive predators had forged humanity into something the other, spacefaring species viewed with a mixture of fascination and trepidation. Humans were stronger, faster healing, and more adaptable than most consortium citizens. They could endure radiation levels that would kill most aliens and could process toxins that would fell beings twice their size. These traits made humans valuable as mercenaries, explorers, and problem solvers, but also kept them at arm's length. From the consortium's inner circles, the unspoken fear was always there. What happens when the Deathworlders decide they want more than the scraps they're offered? "Approaching Khaldun system," announced Pilot Officer Zara Okafor 48 hours later. Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1, the starfield stretched and then snapped back to normal as the Defiance returned to conventional space. The binary stars of Khaldun, one blue-white, one orange, cast an eerie purple light across the bridge. Ahead, orbiting the system's third planet, hung a massive ring structure nearly 8 kilometers in diameter. "That's Research Station Epsilon?" Winters asked, surprise evident in her voice. "That's no ordinary outpost. That's a Type 4 research installation. The consortium only builds those for their most advanced projects." Chief Security Officer Jackson Reed, a former Earth military specialist with dark skin and watchful eyes, studied the tactical display. "No consortium vessels detected in system. Station appears to be running on minimal power. Life support systems functioning, but barely." "Life signs?" Winters asked. The ship's xenobiologist, Dr. Priya Agarwal, frowned at her readouts. The station's shielding is disrupting detailed scans, but I'm detecting multiple biological signatures. Some match known species parameters, others. She hesitated. Others don't match anything in our database. The signal's still transmitting, Nakamura reported. But it's weaker now. Take us in, Winters ordered. Standard approach vector. Prep the boarding team. In the ship's armory, Reed distributed equipment to the away team. Winters himself, Dr. Agarwal, and engineering specialist Feng Wei. Standard environment suits, medical kits, and weapons, both non-lethal stun batons, and, despite protocol, lethal particle pistols. Stunners only, Winters instructed as she checked her suit seals. We're here to rescue, not engage. Reed nodded but made sure everyone's particle pistol was charged and secured in their secondary holsters. With respect, Captain, if something's been hunting people on that station for 8 years, I want options. Docking with the station proved challenging. Its automated systems were partially active but malfunctioning, requiring Feng to manually override the airlock protocols. Something's not right, the engineer muttered, as they finally secured a connection. These systems haven't degraded naturally. It's like someone's been maintaining certain sections while deliberately sabotaging others. As they stepped through the airlock into the station's outer ring, their suit lights cut through the darkness. Emergency lighting cast long shadows down curved corridors, and the air, breathable according to their sensors, felt heavy and stale. Gravity's at about 70%, Feng noted, checking his instruments. Life support functioning at minimal levels. They moved cautiously through the station. Signs of hasty evacuation were everywhere. Abandoned personal items, dropped tools, overturned furniture. But there was something else too. Claw marks on walls, impact dents in reinforced doors, and dark stains that Dr. Agarwal confirmed were blood from multiple species. This wasn't an orderly evacuation, Reed said grimly, his weapon at the ready. This was a panic. As they approached the central hub where the signal originated, the damage grew worse. Entire sections of corridor were twisted and torn as if something immensely strong had forced its way through. The signal's just ahead, Winters whispered, pointing to a sealed laboratory door. Feng, the engineer examined the control panel. Security lockdown. Give me a minute. While Feng worked, Agarwal's scanner picked up something new. Captain, I'm detecting multiple life signs now. Faint, but definitely present behind this door and scattered throughout nearby sections. Survivors after all this time? Reed sounded skeptical. Feng grunted in satisfaction as the door's locking mechanism disengaged with a heavy clunk. Got it. The door slid open with a hydraulic hiss, revealing a large laboratory space filled with sophisticated equipment. Much of it damaged, but some still operational. Workstations lined the walls, and in the center stood a collection of transparent containment pods. 3 of them were occupied. Inside each, floating in a pale blue suspension fluid, was a different alien being. They appeared to be in stasis, but as the team entered, their eyes opened. One of them, a spindly insectoid creature, with gleaming compound eyes, pressed a 3-fingered hand against the inside of its pod. Its mandibles moved and a mechanized voice emerged from a nearby console. You came. You actually came. The mechanical translation couldn't mask the disbelief in the creature's voice. But you're not consortium. You're humans? Winters stepped forward. I'm Captain Naomi Winters of the independent vessel Defiance. We received your distress call. The alien's compound eyes reflected their suit lights. My name is Research Director Trizix. I am the lead xenobiologist for Project Chimera. A pause. The consortium abandoned us here, left us to die when the specimens escaped. Specimens? Agarwal asked, moving closer to examine the pod's life support systems. Trizix's mandibles clicked, rapidly, a sign of agitation. The project was supposed to be about adaptive evolution, studying how different species overcome environmental challenges. But that changed. They started experimenting with hybridization, forced adaptation. Reed scanned the room, his weapon still ready. What escaped, Director? The alien scientist trembled visibly. They called it the Apex Initiative, taking genetic material from the galaxy's most resilient species, including yours, and creating weapons. Biological weapons designed to survive anything. Winters felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's temperature. And these weapons escaped? Not weapons, corrected Trizix. People, sentient beings. They escaped because they knew what was being done to them was wrong. Where are they now? Reed asked, tension evident in his voice. Trizix's voice grew quieter. Still here, watching, waiting. As if on cue, a low rumbling growl echoed from somewhere in the darkened lab, and movement flickered at the edge of their lights. Winter's hand went to her weapon. How many? Originally 12 prototypes. The alien's eyes darted nervously to the shadows. But they've been adapting, evolving. And they're very, very angry. The growl came again, closer this time, and Reed snapped his weapon toward the sound. Captain, movement at your 3 o'clock. Winters turned slowly. At first she saw nothing but shadows. Then emerging from the darkness, a figure appeared. Humanoid in basic shape but wrong in proportions. Its limbs were too long, its skin a patchwork of textures ranging from scales to chitinous plates. But its eyes were unmistakably human, filled with intelligence and cold fury. It spoke, its voice a harsh rasp that somehow carried the echoes of multiple species. More consortium scientists? More torturers? Winters kept her voice steady, her hands visible. No, we're independent, human. We came because of your distress signal. The creature tilted its head, studying her with those unsettlingly human eyes. Humans, it repeated. They used your genetics too, said your adaptability was remarkable. From other corners of the lab, more figures emerged, each different, each a unique horror of hybridization, yet all bearing that same look of sentient awareness. Captain, Reed whispered, we are severely outnumbered. Winters made a subtle gesture for him to stand down. To the hybrid beings, she said, we didn't know about this place, about what was done to you, but we're here now and we can help. The lead creature's laugh was like stones grinding together. Help? The last help we received was being left to die when we refused to be weapons. Then let us get you out, Winters offered. All of you, including the scientists. The galaxy should know what happened here. The creature stepped closer, looming, over Winters. Despite being a Deathworlder herself, she felt a primal fear at its presence. Why would we leave? It asked softly. The hunters have become very comfortable in their new hunting ground. Trizix's mechanized voice cut through the tension. Please, we've been prisoners here for 8 years. The consortium thinks we're dead. They never intended for anyone to find us. The hybrid being turned its gaze to the contained scientist. You created us to be perfect adapters, perfect survivors. And now we are. Winters saw her chance. But surviving isn't living. You've proven your point. You've outlasted them, outsmarted them. Now it's time to show them what you've truly become. The creature's eyes narrowed. And what is that, human? Something they never expected, Winters replied steadily. Something with a choice. For a long moment, silence filled the lab. Then suddenly the station's alarms blared to life and Nakamura's urgent voice came through their comms. Captain, consortium vessel Righteous Judgment just dropped out of FTL. They're demanding our immediate surrender and threatening to open fire. The hybrid leader's expression shifted to something almost like a smile, revealing teeth that were definitely not human. It seems, it said quietly, that the consortium has come to finish what they started. Wrath Unleashed consortium vessel, Righteous Judgment to unidentified ship. You are in violation of restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. The transmission resonated through the Defiance's bridge, the speaker's voice carrying the distinctive reverberating tones of a Novali officer, a species known for their rigid adherence to consortium law. On the main screen, the consortium cruiser loomed, 3 times the size of the Defiance, its weapon systems already powering up. In the laboratory deep within Research Station Epsilon, Captain Winters processed this development with the tactical mind that had kept her crew alive through countless dangerous situations. How did they respond so quickly? Dr. Agarwal wondered aloud. It's almost as if they were waiting, finished the hybrid leader, its patchwork face showing no surprise. They monitor this sector, always. They fear what might escape. Winters activated her comm. Nakamura, acknowledge their presence but make no mention of the station or why we're here. Volkov, prepare evasive maneuvers but don't power weapons yet. To the hybrid leader she turned with newfound urgency. You were right about the consortium coming to finish what they started. That cruiser carries enough firepower to reduce this station to atoms. We have minutes, maybe less, to decide our next move. The creature regarded her with those unsettlingly human eyes. I am called Nexus, it said finally, named by my creators for the convergence of genetic pathways. It gestured to its fellows. We are 12 who survived the initial experiments. There are others, earlier prototypes less stable but still our kin. How many in total? Reed asked, his security officer's mind already calculating odds. 37 sentients, Nexus replied. Plus, your 3 scientists. Trizix's mechanical voice interjected from the pod. Captain Winters, there's something else you must know. The Apex initiative wasn't merely about creating biological weapons. The consortium was preparing for something they've known about for decades. What sort of something? Winters demanded. Before the scientist could answer, the station shuddered violently as something impacted against its outer shields. Warning shot, Reed muttered. They're getting impatient. Winters made her decision. Nakamura, tell the consortium we're conducting a rescue operation in response to a distress signal, as is our right under galactic common law. On the bridge, Nakamura opened the channel. The alien commander's face appeared on screen, scaled, and ridge-plated with vertical pupils that narrowed in obvious displeasure. Captain Winters, I am Commander Jorvac of the Galactic Consortium Security Force. There are no authorized personnel on that station. It was decommissioned 8 years ago. Volkov stepped forward. Then perhaps you can explain why we found survivors, sending distress signals including consortium scientists who claim they were deliberately abandoned. A flicker of something, surprise, concern, crossed the commander's alien features before his expression hardened again. You will power down your systems and surrender all information obtained from the station. This matter concerns consortium. Security at the highest levels. Back in the laboratory, Winters was working quickly with Nexus. We need to evacuate everyone. The Defiance can't stand against a cruiser for long. Nexus made a sound that might have been laughter. We control this station, Captain. Have done so for years. The consortium vessel is the one in danger. As if to demonstrate, Nexus approached a modified console near the wall. Its elongated fingers danced across the interface with surprising dexterity. Throughout the lab, dormant systems hummed to life. Station defense grid activating, announced a synthetic voice. Targeting system online. On the Defiance's bridge, Okafor's voice rose in shock. Captain, the station's weapon systems are powering up. Commander Jorvac's face showed the first real emotion, alarm. What have you done? Those systems were deactivated. Not by us, Volkov replied truthfully. On the station, Winters watched as Nexus established a direct communication link to the consortium vessel. The hybrid leader's face appeared alongside Commander Jorvac's on the split screen. Consortium vessel, it spoke, its voice stronger now, almost musical in its menace. We remember you. 8 years ago, your kind gave the order to purge this station, to eliminate all evidence of your crimes. Commander Jorvac's composure shattered. This channel is unauthorized. You will cease. We will not cease, Nexus interrupted. For 8 years we have survived your attempt to murder us. We have evolved beyond your control, and now witnesses have come. It gestured toward the Defiance. The truth can no longer be contained. Winters seized the opportunity. "Commander Yorvak, I suggest we discuss this situation diplomatically." "It cannot be discussed at all," the Thraxian hissed. "This research was classified at the highest level. The Directorate itself authorized the containment protocols." "Containment protocols," Winters repeated coldly. "Is that what you call abandoning your own scientists and attempting to murder sentient beings?" Nexus's expression was unnervingly satisfied. "The humans understand, Commander, perhaps because their own history taught them the cost of treating living beings as weapons." Reed's urgent voice cut through the tension. "Captain, the consortium vessel is charging weapons for a full broadside." Nexus reacted instantly, its fingers flying across the console. "Station shields at maximum, targeting their primary weapon emplacements." From the ring station, brilliant beams of energy lanced out, striking the consortium cruiser with surgical precision. The larger vessel shuddered, several of its forward weapon ports going dark. "Return fire," Commander Yorvak screamed to his crew. The cruiser's remaining weapons blazed, hammering against the station's shields. "Those shields won't hold forever," Fung warned, monitoring the station's systems. "And they've called for reinforcements. 2 more vessels inbound less than an hour away." Winters turned to Nexus. "We need to evacuate now. My ship can't take all of you, but—" "We have ships," Nexus interrupted. "Consortium shuttles modified over the years, enough to transport everyone." "You've been planning this," Winters realized. "For 8 years, Nexus confirmed. Waiting for the right moment. You provided it." As if responding to unspoken commands, other hybrids began moving with purpose. Some helped Fung and Agarwal prepare the scientist pods for transport. Others disappeared down corridors, presumably to ready the shuttles. "What about the earlier prototypes you mentioned?" Winters asked. "The less stable ones?" A strange expression crossed Nexus's face, something almost like tenderness. "They are our kin. They come with us." From the shadows of the laboratory emerged the most unsettling sight yet. Writhing masses of tentacles and chitin, multi-limbed forms that defied conventional biology, glistening with an oily substance that steamed slightly in the cool air. Yet, despite their horrific appearance, they moved with surprising coordination, helping to secure equipment and transport the scientist pods. One extruded a limb toward Agarwal's scanner, curious rather than hostile. "These were the first attempts," Nexus explained. "The consortium considered them failures because they couldn't speak or hold weapons, but they survived, adapted. They are as sentient as you or I, just different." The station rocked again as another volley from the cruiser struck home. Warning alarms blared throughout the complex. "Shields at 40%, announced the station's synthetic voice. "Hull breach detected in Sector 7. We need to move," Reed urged. "Now." With coordinated efficiency that spoke of long preparation, the evacuation began. The hybrids guided the humans through the station's corridors toward a massive hangar bay, where 6 modified consortium shuttles waited. The early prototypes moved, with surprising speed, carrying the scientist pods using organic harnesses they had secreted for the purpose. Winters maintained communication with her ship. "Volkov, keep the Defiance out of their firing solution. We're evacuating the station. Multiple shuttles will be launching soon." "What about the consortium reinforcements?" Volkov replied, concern evident in his voice. Before Winters could respond, Trizix's voice came through the comm system, no longer filtered through the pod's translator. The scientist had been freed and was now being supported by 2 of the more humanoid hybrids. "Captain Winters," the insectoid alien said urgently, "there's something you must understand about why these experiments were conducted. The consortium detected a transmission 6 decades ago, something approaching from beyond the galaxy's edge, something that destroys all biological life it encounters." "What are you saying?" Winters demanded as they reached the hangar bay. "The Apex Initiative was created to develop beings that could survive this threat," Trizix continued. "But the Directorate grew afraid of their own creations. They feared Nexus and the others more than the coming extinction." The hangar bay doors opened to reveal the vastness of space, and the damaged consortium cruiser attempting to reposition for another attack. "They're targeting the hangar," warned Reed, reading the tactical data on his wrist display. Nexus stepped forward, its patchwork form silhouetted against the stars. "Then we give them something else to worry about." With a gesture, Nexus activated a command sequence. Throughout the station, explosive charges detonated in sequence, not destroying the facility but breaking it apart into its component sections. The ring structure began to separate, each segment maintaining power and life support but now moving independently. "Tactical confusion," Reed whispered, impressed despite himself. "They can't target everything at once." The Defiant swooped in, providing covering fire as the shuttles began launching one by one. The consortium cruiser, faced with multiple moving targets, divided its fire ineffectively. As Winters boarded the last shuttle with Nexus and the final group of hybrids, she turned to the creature that was neither human nor alien, but something new entirely. "Where will you go?" she asked. "The consortium won't stop hunting you." Nexus's mouth formed what might have been a smile. "To the edges of known space, where the threat approaches. We were created to be the shield against extinction. It is time we fulfilled that purpose, on our terms, not theirs." The shuttle launched, accelerating away from the disintegrating station. Behind them, the consortium cruiser continued firing, but with diminishing effect as its weapons overheated from sustained use. "And what about us?" Winters asked. "Once we return to our ship, the consortium will label us criminals for interfering with their classified operation." "Then perhaps," Nexus suggested, "you should join us, humans and hybrids, Deathworlders, and the created. Together we might stand against what comes." As the shuttle docked with the Defiance and the remaining station segments detonated in a carefully orchestrated sequence to cover their escape, Winters made the decision that would change the course of galactic history. "Nakamura," she commanded over the comm, "transmit everything we've learned about Project Chimera and the abandonment of the scientists to every independent colony and free press outlet in the sector. Then plot a course to rendezvous with the hybrid fleet at these coordinates." Volkov's voice came back, steady despite the implications. "You realize what this means, Captain? We'll be declaring ourselves enemies of the consortium." Winters looked at Nexus and the assembled hybrids, beings created to be weapons who had chosen to be people instead. "No, Dmitri," she replied. "We're declaring ourselves the vanguard of something new. If the consortium won't defend all sentient life, then a new alliance will rise in its place." As the Defiance and the hybrid shuttles accelerated to FTL, leaving the damaged consortium cruiser behind, the message began spreading throughout the galaxy. Humans, the Deathworlders, had aligned themselves with the consortium's most feared creations against a coming threat that would test all life. And when the consortium attempted to suppress this information, they discovered something they had not accounted for in all their calculations and experiments. When pushed too far, even the most peaceful species could embrace the fury that humans had carried with them from their harsh homeworld. The Deathworlder Alliance was born amid fire and betrayal, forged by those who had been abandoned and those who refused to abandon them. And the galaxy would never be the same. Behind them, in the void where Research Station Epsilon had once orbited, the final transmission from Commander Yorvak to Consortium Central told of the terrible alliance that had been formed, and of the even more terrible truth that had been revealed. "The humans know about the coming darkness," his message concluded, "and they've sided with the abominations." The response from the Consortium Directorate was immediate. Find them, eliminate them, at any cost. But it was already too late. The Deathworlders were coming, not to destroy but to save a galaxy that had never truly accepted them. And they would tear through anything that stood in their way.